Hi everybody and welcome back to the channel. Now I've got a question for you. In my hand here I've got a packet of Honey Delight F1 tomato seeds. Now the question is are these the most expensive tomato seeds you can buy? Well, I don't think they are. And in a minute you're going to watch a video that I've put together about how to sow your tomato seeds and then grow them on through the season to get an abundant harvest. And yesterday I sowed some of these and I was shocked to find that when I opened the seed packet there was only 8 seeds inside here, and it got me thinking. So what I've actually done, I've been a bit nerdy and I've weighed the seeds that came in this packet, and I've worked out how much that these guys would cost if I bought a kilo of them. Now obviously I'm not, but it's just to give you a bit of an idea. I mean, we buy our fruit and veg in the supermarkets and we pay per kilo, like we do a lot of other things. So what do you think the price per kilo is of these particular seeds? You're going to be surprised. Now obviously I'm in Hungary, so I use the Hungarian forint as the currency, but using the exchange rate of 480 florins to the pound, which is there or thereabouts as an average, the cost of 1,000 grams or 1 kilo of these seeds comes in at, and I'm reading the back of the packet, £2,289. That's a lot of money. So, using the video you're about to watch, I hope to be able to grow quite a few of these plants and get a good harvest. So, take a look at the video. I hope you get something out of it, and bear in mind one key point here, and that is frost dates. That's the most important thing when sowing your tomatoes. The video is about to explain it to you. So sit back, relax and enjoy, and I'll speak to you afterwards.
So while I am sowing my seeds, here's a question for you. We all love a good tomato, don't we? That perfect BLT, a juicy slice on a burger, or even just straight off the vine. But let's be honest, sometimes growing them feels like wrestling a pig covered in suntan oil. You end up with more green mush than ripe deliciousness. And don't even get me started on the bugs. Well, don't worry. You don't need a green thumb or a degree in botany to grow a bumper crop of tomatoes. So whether you're a seasoned gardener or a newbie, stick around. I'm going to break it down step by step and show you how I grow mine. Throughout the season, we will watch my progress from seed to table. Before we even think about sticking a seed in the dirt, we've got to talk about tomato varieties. Picking the right tomato is crucial for a happy, fruitful relationship. Seriously though, there are hundreds of tomato varieties out there, each with its own personality. Some are big and juicy, perfect for slicing. Some are small and sweet, ideal for snacking. And then you've got your paste, your cherry, your heirloom tomatoes. It's enough to make your head spin. So how do you choose? Well, first off, consider your climate. If you live in a place with a shorter growing season, like say Alaska, you're going to want to pick a variety that matures quickly. On the other hand, if you're blessed with long hot summers, you can experiment with those big beefsteak beauties. Next, think about what you're going to do with your tomatoes. Making sauce? The Roma is a good choice. Want those sweet pop in your mouth treats? Go for Sun Gold or Sweet Million. Do your research, choose wisely, and remember, when it comes to tomatoes, there's a perfect match for everyone. So you've chosen your dream tomato. Now it's time to give those little seeds the best possible start in life. Timing is everything. We're aiming to start our seeds indoors about 6 to 8 weeks before the last expected frost. Now let's talk dirt. We're talking about a special blend of fluffy, nutrient-rich goodness called seed starting mix. This stuff is like a 5-star hotel for baby tomatoes. Once you've got your seed starting mix, grab some trays or pots, fill them up with the mix, moisten it slightly, and then plant those seeds about 1/4 inch deep. Tomato seeds need heat to germinate. A sunny windowsill will do, but for best results, invest in a seedling heat mat. Keep the soil consistently moist, and in about a week or two, you should start to see those little green shoots. The real magic happens when you give those seedlings the care they need to grow big and strong. Follow these tips and you'll be well on your way to a bountiful harvest. So your tomato seedlings are thriving indoors. But eventually, it's time for them to face the real world. That's where hardening off comes in. It's like boot camp for them, a way to toughen them up and get them used to the harsh realities of wind, rain, and direct sunlight. Hardening off isn't complicated, but it does require a bit of patience. You can't just yank those plants from their cozy indoor spa and toss them out into the elements. Instead, we're going to ease them into it gradually over the course of about 7 to 10 days. Start by setting your seedlings outside in a shady, protected spot for an hour or two each day. Then gradually increase their exposure to sunlight and wind, adding an hour or so each day. During this hardening off period, keep a close eye on the weather forecast. If a cold snap or a torrential downpour is headed your way, bring those babies back inside. By the end of the hardening off period, your plants should be ready to tackle anything Mother Nature throws their way. They'll be lean, mean, tomato-producing machines. Let's talk dirt. When it comes to growing killer tomatoes, the soil you plant them in is just as important as the variety you choose. Tomatoes are hungry plants. They need nutrient-rich soil that drains well and provides a solid foundation for their roots. You want a good mix of organic matter like compost or aged manure to provide those essential nutrients. You want good drainage so those roots don't end up sitting in a soggy swamp. And you want a slightly acidic pH level, somewhere between 6.0 and 6.8. You can buy pre-mixed potting soil that's formulated specifically for tomatoes, or create your own perfect tomato soil blend. Here's my go-to recipe: a base of good quality garden soil, a third compost or well-rotted manure, some perlite or vermiculite for drainage, and a handful of bone meal or blood meal for phosphorus. Once you've got your soil mix ready, plant those hardened off tomato seedlings. Dig a hole that's about twice as wide as the root ball and just as deep as a minimum. I actually bury mine right up to the first set of bottom leaves. Give those babies a good drink of water and you're well on your way to creating a tomato paradise. Growing tomatoes isn't always sunshine and roses. Sometimes it feels like you're waging an all-out war against a never-ending army of pests and diseases. But if we understand what these are, we can curb any impacts they may have, and with a little know-how, you can keep those pesky critters and fungal fiends at bay. First up, let's meet our enemies. In the tomato world, you've got your usual suspects: aphids, whiteflies, and spider mites. Then there are the bigger, badder bugs like tomato hornworms and slugs. And don't even get me started on diseases: blight, mold, mildew, the list goes on and on. One of the best ways to prevent pests and diseases is to practice good garden hygiene. That means keeping your garden clean and free of debris, rotating your crops each year, and choosing disease-resistant varieties whenever possible. Neem oil, a natural insecticide, is a great all-purpose weapon against aphids, whiteflies, and spider mites. For bigger pests like hornworms and slugs, hand-picking them off your plants and tossing them in a bucket of soapy water is surprisingly effective. Inspect your plants regularly for signs of trouble and address any issues promptly before they have a chance to spiral out of control. Remember, a little prevention goes a long way. After weeks of nurturing and protecting your plants, the moment of truth has arrived. It's harvest time. There's nothing quite like plucking a ripe, juicy tomato off the vine, still warm from the sun, and taking that first delicious bite. But before you go grabbing those tomatoes with reckless abandon, let's talk strategy. Timing is everything when it comes to harvesting. Pick those tomatoes too early and you'll miss out on peak flavor and sweetness. Wait too long and you risk them rotting on the vine or becoming a feast for hungry critters. Most tomato varieties will turn a vibrant red when they're fully ripe, but some, like heirloom varieties, might have different colors like yellow, orange, green, or even purple. Once those tomatoes have reached their peak color, give them a gentle squeeze. They should feel firm but slightly yielding to the touch. To harvest, simply grasp the tomato firmly and twist it gently until it releases from the vine. Now that you've got a basket full of gorgeous, ripe tomatoes, the question is, what to do with them all? You can eat them fresh, of course. If you find yourself with more than you can possibly eat, there are plenty of ways to preserve your bounty. You can can them, freeze them, dry them, or even turn them into delicious homemade tomato sauce. And there you have it, the no-nonsense guide to growing tomatoes that won't make you want to pull your hair out. We've covered everything from choosing the right variety to battling pests like seasoned pros. Remember, growing your own food should be fun, rewarding, and maybe even a little bit messy. Whether you have a large area or just a balcony, you can grow these wonderful plants. Once you taste the difference between a store-bought tomato and one you grew yourself, you'll never go back. I am growing a number of different types this season. So let's get back outside and check on my progress. These guys play a big role in our food production here, and we can harvest in excess of 50 kilos. If you follow these steps, you'll have a tomato harvest just as abundant. Follow me throughout the year as we go through each stage and check our progress.
Okay, so you've just seen that video there, and I hope you picked up on the point about the last frost date. So for me here, mine is the middle of April, and I always like to add on another week, so I go to the third week of April, sorry. Come back 6 to 8 weeks brings you to this particular week. So I sowed some of these guys yesterday, and as I've already mentioned, 8 seeds. I've actually bought another packet of them. And I'm going to follow that guide you've just watched to get mine going. Now, one thing it did say in the video was to use a heat mat, but you don't have to. You can have a sunny windowsill. Now, I've got quite a nice sunny day today, and there's something else that I'd like to do. So let me show you what I've been up to. I've got 3 trays here from yesterday. Let me show you what I mean. Now, I don't have heat mats. I don't use them here. So what I do is I want to get a little bit of humidity in there first, just to get them going. And then once they start to germinate, I take these lids off, and they will sit across in there in the summer kitchen over night time. But when I've got a sunny day like we have today, which is very pleasant, I have got to say, I'll bring them out, leaving their lids on, which is why they've got a bit of condensation on the tops, and give them a bit of extra warmth in the sunshine. And then later on this afternoon, I'll pop them back indoors again so they're nice and snug for the night. So that's where I'm at the moment. And then obviously over the next few weeks, they'll need to be pricked out and then finally transplanted in their final growing positions, as it says in the video. So looking forward to this, and I've got some others to get going as well, and I'll do exactly the same thing. Now, along with the tomatoes that I sowed yesterday, I've also sowed some spinach, some pak choi, which is a very fast growing crop. What else have I sown? And 3 types of lettuce, all inside. And the idea is that keeping them in a fairly warm environment, they'll germinate, and then I'll be able to bring them out. Now, a couple of weeks ago, I sowed some brassicas. So we're talking kale, summer cabbage, winter cabbage. And I brought those out into this environment here. There's no dome over those. They're by the side of the tomatoes. They're a cold winter crop, or cold temperature crop. They don't like it too hot. So I brought them out, give them a bit of fresh air, and trying to reduce that speed of growth, which they're, like I said, they're getting a little bit too leggy, shall we say. There's nothing wrong with them with regards to dampening them off. That's not an issue, because they're being watered from underneath. And then in the summer house, or the summer kitchen rather, what I've got in there is the salad leaves that I sowed yesterday. So I've got La Rosa. I've got another loose leaf lettuce, which is an Australian type. No idea what it is, but I'm going to grow it because it looks good. And I've got some other lettuce there, standard lettuce, that will grow into a head if I allow them, along with spinach as well. We've got those going, and pak choys. The idea of all of those things is that I want to be picking the leaves, not the whole plant. So we get a mixed variety of the different leaves in our salads throughout the year. And another addition to that later in the season will be the beetroot leaves. So we get a good variety. And then, of course, chard. So going back to this Honey Delight tomato of £2,289 a kilo, it's an F1. Is it worth growing? Well, we're going to find out as the season progresses and they become hopefully very abundant. Now an F1 tomato seed, yeah, you can save the seeds and grow them the following year. You will get a fruit, but it won't be true to the ones that you're growing this year as an F1. They'll be called what's called an F2. And so therefore what will happen is that you will get fruits, but they won't be the same as the parent plant. So I won't be able to save these seeds anyway. So I'll have to go and spend another huge amount of money to buy seeds if I want to grow them next year. Another point about that video that you've just watched is that it talks about you choosing the type of tomato that A, you want to grow, and B, you can grow in your relevant climate. If you're looking to save seeds from your tomatoes this season, then don't go for an F1 type seed. Go for an heirloom or what's called an open pollinated seed. That way you'll be able to save those seeds and not have to buy them the following year. And saving them is pretty easy. You just let them dry out, make sure there's no jelly around the seeds themselves, and then store them, keep them in a cool, dark place, and sow them the following year. Save yourself a few quid. So I've got mine all sown, ready to go and ready to germinate. And now what I'm doing is I'm prepping the area where they're going to go, along with the other vegetable beds, because we can grow ours outside here. We've got a great climate for that. So follow me during the year, see how I get on with it, and follow along for anything else that you might be interested in. But for now, take care. I'll catch you next time.